not purport to reflect the opinions or views of the 30-Day Redemption or its members, officers, staff, partners, or advertisers. So without further ado, I'm going to let Rafaela pull up her screen. And Rafaela, take it away and take us on this food and photo journey.
Hey everybody, Rafaela here. Thank you so much, Kashab. Um, so my journey with food. Well, I'll talk about my journey with food first, and then I'll talk about my journey with photography. So with food, I grew up in a household of cooks. Well, my grandfather was the cook, and he taught all his children how to cook. So the funny thing is, when I was a kid, I was raised by my grandparents, and I used to get in trouble all the time. So my aunt used to put me in a corner as a form of punishment. But it didn't work because the moment that I got out of punishment, I would go back into trouble again. So my grandfather, instead of putting us in punishment, he would have us in the kitchen, and he would give us this big knife, and he would tell us to cut the herbs. And if we cut ourselves, then we would be much more trouble. So what happening was, the moment that, of course, I didn't want to cut myself, no want to get into trouble. So I was like, I would focus, I would be so hyper focused on cutting the herbs, that in turn, it helped me, it calmed me down. So it was, I don't know if he knew that or not, but having that focus, being in the kitchen, calmed me down. So the funny thing is that every time I cook, it's my space where I'm calm because of that one thing that my grandfather did. But of course, I was the only one that got so excited about being in the kitchen that every time he would go to the kitchen, I would go with him. So, and then of course, growing up, my mother would, own a catering company. And that's when I learned a lot, of course, how to cook certain dishes, certain meals, how to present food, because she would have to present food. So I would learn that. And people always ask me, like, where did you learn how to cook? And I used to make this joke, and I said, washing dishes, because I'll be in the kitchen washing the dishes while she was preparing things. So that's my connection with food. Like I said, I come from a family of cooks. My mother was a caterer. And so that's when I, began to have that love for food, for cooking. My photography journey began few years, well, I would say about more than 10 years ago. I always loved photography. I wasn't a photographer, I just loved photography and collecting photographs. And one day, a friend of mine who was pregnant asked me if I would take her pregnancy pictures. And I was like, well, I'm not a photographer. And she was like, well, I want you to do it anyway, because you did the photos for such and such, and it was really great. So I thought she was going to forget it about 6 months after, because she wanted to wait until she was 6 months to me to do her photos. And sure enough, 6 months later, she calls me. She says, I'm ready for my photo shoot. So I'm going like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I ended up getting a semi-professional camera at the time. And we went out into the streets, pretty much into the park, to do her photography. It took me like a whole entire day. And at that moment is when I discovered, that I found my passion for photography. So it was really pretty cool. From that moment forward, I began to take photographs. I ended up having my own photography studio when I lived in Washington, D.C. I became a wedding photographer. And through wedding photography, I fell in love. I began to fall in love with details. So I would get to the wedding really early to make sure I took pictures of all the details of the wedding. And then, of course, that detail translated into, at some point, food photography. So I was like, well, how cool. My love for food, my love for photography, I was able to combine both. Ended up doing some work for some restaurants in DC, which to this day, they still use my pictures for their marketing material, which is really cool. So I'm always happy when I see that they still use those pictures. So today, not only do I love food, I love photography, but I also like to quickly put something together and, make it look delicious, because I believe that food, when we are consuming food, it should look really good. Like we shouldn't just, put anything on a plate and just, shove it down. I think when we go to restaurants, they present our food because we begin to eat with our eyes first. So today we're going to be making a quick fish dish. It's going to be a cod dish. It's going to be a smoked lemon butter garlic cod. And I love cod because it's an easy fish. It thaws, it's an easy fish to do. It doesn't leave the house smelling fishy. And it's quick. Like you can make this within like 20 minutes or so. And with it, I'm going to make some rice and also some okra. So you guys, if you want, you can, for those that are here, I'm going to unmute you guys. So if you want to have conversation with me while I do it, you can also, okay? If you have any questions while I'm doing it, all right? So I'm going to switch. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to switch my camera over there on the other side so we can get started, okay? Can anybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I see here. And can you see my counter?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, perfect. All right, cool. So I'm going to be switching my camera back and forth so you can also see the stove when I begin to cook. So the first thing that I'm going to make is the rice, okay? I know a lot of people make things separately. I make everything all at the same time. I just choose what to make first, whatever takes a little bit more time is what goes on first, okay? So I'm going to make some rice. And normally I don't, if I'm making cod, I don't put any salt in my rice. And the way that I make rice the Brazilian way. I fry it first in oil, and then I just put a little bit of water. So I'm going to bring my camera over here. Can you guys see it? Can you guys see it?
Yes, can see everything.
Okay. Perfect.
Yes.
So I'm going to use a little bit of olive oil. And this is about 2 cups of rice. This is the Brazilian way. I don't know if anybody else makes rice that way. I know in the US, they make rice, they boil the water and then put the rice in. But Brazil, we cook the rice, we fry it in high heat. My mom used to say that I make rice, the type of rice when you open up the window, that the rice might fly out, which meant I made some good rice. And the rice that I use is Thai jasmine rice, and you can use any rice that you like. Okay. So when you begin to see some of the pieces just turning a little bit white, so you don't want to like over fry, you don't want to burn it. When you see those pieces just turn a little bit white, you just go ahead and pour some water in there. Doesn't have to be hot water, can be just regular water. And you put the water just enough to cover the rice. So you don't want to put too much water, just enough just to cover the rice. And you turn the heat to low, because what's going to happen is the rice is going to cook within the steam. And then when the water recedes, we're just going to keep adding just a little bit and little bit and little bit of water until it cooks. Okay, so we're going to leave that there. All right, we're going to come back over here. And I'm going to season that cod. So with the cod, I usually buy it frozen. And it comes like this. Let me show you really quick. And this, let me see. And let me show you a frozen one. And frozen packs, they come individually. So you can, if you, depending on how many people you're going to cook for,
If you're doing just one for yourself, or if you're doing it for your family, this is good because it's a family pack. So if you have a family, it's a quick, fast dish because it takes about, I would say, 30 minutes to thaw. Like if you put it in water, it takes 30 minutes to thaw. All right, so I have my cod. I thawed this one earlier. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some garlic. This is how I cut garlic. And you can also use a garlic presser. And usually in the kitchen, I move pretty fast. So if I am moving too fast or you missed something, let me know. Also, another cool trick, you know, for people that cook a lot with garlic and then leave that little garlic smell in your fingers, one thing that is good to remove garlic smell is just rub some lime in your fingers. It just removes it all out. So you don't have that garlicky fingernails, right? All right, so usually I just chop it. Little piece all there. How many of you cook with garlic? I know Americans tend not to. I know it's something that I don't see in a lot of American dishes. In Brazil, Brazilians put garlic in every single thing, even in our rice at times. Any part of anybody here that cooks with garlic often?
Yeah, I cook every day with garlic.
With garlic, cool.
Yeah.
I love garlic, and garlic is such good for the heart.
Mm-hmm.
It is also an anti-inflammatory, and you can make tea with garlic. If somebody has a cold, garlic tea is good.
What about like I see they sell a garlic powder. Is that any better or any worse?
I've never taken it. My whole thing is if it's turned into a powder, it's been processed. Not saying that it doesn't have any effect, but if you could use the fresh garlic, you get the best, the most of the benefits. And garlic tea, you can make garlic tea. You can take 2 cloves of garlic, hit it a couple of times, boil it, add some honey to it. You taste the garlic, but it's not so strong, so pungent. So I would say it has some benefits, I'm sure, but if you could use fresh garlic, I would choose that. And especially whenever we are doing anything for example, garlic tea is good for the immune system and all of that. Anything that's in a liquid format, it's the quickest way to get something in your system, more so than powder or anything else.
Now, do you, depending on the meals that you make, like if you're making Brazilian food, do you play Brazilian music?
Oh, I do. I just didn't do it today because I didn't want to make sure the copyright. But yeah, I play music. Brazilians, when they cook, they're playing music, they're singing. And depending what time of what day of the week it is. If it's Saturday, when they make this dish called feijoada, they're drinking beer along with everything else. Brazilians are big beer drinkers. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys something really quick. I'm going to go back here to our rice. Okay. I don't know if you can hear it. So the water receded, and all we're going to do is just add just a tad bit. So whenever you hear that, That's it. It didn't even cover. And we let it cook again. Okay, make sure it's in low heat. So you always want to keep an eye on that rice. All right, so we got our garlic chopped off. Okay, and again, you can use a garlic presser. I like to chop my garlic. The reason why I like to chop my garlic, for the simple reason that the story is shared by my grandfather, it just put me in that space of relaxation. Okay. And depending on how many you're making, I would say, maybe I like a lot of garlic. So this might be a lot of garlic for some people, but I just enjoy garlic. But maybe if you're doing, let's say, 3 or 4 fillets, I would say 3 cloves of garlic should be enough. Okay. All right. So I add some olive oil. And cod is one of those fishes that even if you put oil in it, this is about 2 tablespoons of oil. Okay. The cool thing about cod is that when you begin to cook it, the oil will disappear because cod is one of those fishes that becomes really watery. So it turns into water. So another dish that we make in Brazil with cod, we bake cod in Brazil mostly. And we put it in the oven with lots and lots of olive oil. And so when you take it out, it's almost as if the oil was not even there to begin with. And I think it's the only fish that I know that doesn't become greasy after you cook it, no matter how much oil you put in it. Okay. So we put some garlic, and all we're going to do is just put just like a teaspoon of salt, not a whole lot. And the reason for that, because we're going to be using capers today. So you don't want to make it too salty. Anybody has any question?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Do you let it marinate or do you just take it straight to the pan now?
We're gonna take it straight to the pan because cod is such a light fish. All we're gonna do is just, mix it. It's such a light fish that it doesn't require marinating. Like for example, salmon, if you're gonna make salmon, you want to marinate it because it's such a fishy fish. It has that strong flavor. So you want to marinate it. Like for example, tilapia is another one that, you marinate. With cod, it's one of those fish that is so light, it absorbs whatever flavor that you give it. So you don't have to let it marinate for a long time. You don't even have to marinate at all. If you want to take cod and just add it to the frying pan and add whatever sauce you want on top, you can do that as well, because it will pick up that flavor that you gave to it. And that's what makes it one of the easiest and quick dish to make, because it absorbs whatever flavor that you're giving it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I normally cook and clean as I go. All right. So I'm gonna put that to the side just for a little bit. Okay. We're gonna start cooking in just a second. And I'm gonna do, I already washed my okra. Okay. And we're gonna chop the okra. And I love okra. I know a lot of people don't really like it because of the slime, which to me is the best part that it has. But okra is also a great source of fiber if you're looking to add more fiber into your diet. So I cut it, more or less, not so thick, but not so thin either. And what we're going to do with the okra, we're just going to fry it with some ghee butter. Okay. And for those of you who are not familiar with ghee butter, it's a clarified butter, lactose, casein, gluten, and sodium free. All right. And also this dish, if you don't want to use okra, you can always use maybe some asparagus. You can use some green beans with it to go on the side. Doesn't necessarily have to be okra. and it would go just as well. All right, so we're gonna put this back here because we're gonna fry that in just a second. All right, so we're gonna take a quick look at our rice to see what's going on there. And what happens when you make rice that way, it cooks really fast. So I'll add just a tad bit more water. I'm gonna cover it up. And that will be the last time that I added water to that rice. So the way that the rice is cooking within the steam, okay? All right, so back over here. I'm gonna put it over here because what we're gonna do is we're gonna make that sauce. We're gonna spray the juice for the sauce, and then we're gonna fry the cod. So the cool thing about cod also, well, not the cool thing, but the downfall of cod is that it doesn't take color. So when you fry cod, it doesn't take any color. That's the sad part of it. So if you want to add some color to cod, which we're going to do in just a second, you have to give it either paprika, or if you want to add a little bit of turmeric. It doesn't take turmeric taste flavor, but in order to give it some color, because no matter how much you fry cod will not take any sort of color. It just won't fry. It's not a fish that you fry. It's a fish that you mostly bake with. Okay. So we're going to squeeze some lemon. And this is what you do to make sure the lemon, when you cut it, you get all the juices out. So you soften the lemon. Same thing for lime. You soften it up. Okay. And it's easy to squeeze. Now I like to use the fresh lemon. Some folks might want to use maybe some lemon juice already bought, store bought. That's okay too. Okay. Anybody have any questions?
That's not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
No.
Everybody hungry?
Getting there. Well, you know what? I have cod here. So I'm gonna take it out and let it start defrosting, and I'm gonna do this tonight for dinner.
Woohoo! Yay! I want to see some pictures.
Okra I don't have, but I do have a whole bunch of asparagus. So I'll try asparagus.
There you go. You found another solution for those asparagus.
Right?
So I can hear that my rice is cooked. So I'm just going to turn the stove off and just let it sit there to let it continue to cook on the steam. And our rice pretty much is ready, y'all. Okay, so rice is already ready to go.
Okay, I think I missed something. What are you gonna do with the lemon?
I'm going to make the lemon sauce, the caper lemon sauce, the butter lemon sauce for the fish.
Is that on a separate pan, or is it gonna be with the fish?
I'm gonna do it in a separate pan because cod is one of those fishes that you can't move around too much, because when you do, it breaks. So and you don't cook it for that long. You just fry it really quick and you flip it once and you let it be, and you cover and just let it sit there for a while. And then when you put it on the plate, you put the sauce on top. Or if you're doing more than one, you can put the sauce after you cook it over. If you're doing it like in a skillet, like one of those deep dish skillet, you can put the sauce over it as well. So, but after you finish cooking it, because if not, then it will break. It will break apart.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So that's 2 lemons. Okay. I'm gonna add some smoked paprika.
This makes me want to have a 30-day redemption festival
So about,
and have all of these great foods from all over.
hey, why not? Why not? All right, so gonna mix this in. So this is about 2 lemons. I would say it's about half a cup of lemon juice. And make sure when you get lemons, you get real lemons. Real lemons have seeds. If you're gotten some lemons and some orange that have no seeds, take it back. It's been genetically modified. Fruits and vegetables are supposed to have seeds in them. You know?
That is true.
That is true, right? I was reading somewhere, I can't remember where it was, that bananas, you know, had seeds on them, black seeds. And I think there's some still around the world that still have black seeds on them. So something to consider. All right, perfect. So we're gonna bring this back.
I see Yane had a comment. She says she's at the festival and she's bringing to-go plates.
Ah, awesome. All right, give me just a second here, guys. My tripod here.
We may have to do a COVID-19 festival though, so y'all could just chime in.
Right? All right, give me a second here. My tripod gave out a little bit here. All right. Here we go. Everybody can still see?
The rice pot. Now, yeah,
All right,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, my tripod just gave up a little bit. Here we go.
that's perfect.
How about now? Okay, perfect.
All
All right, so the rice
other
is
way.
cooked. How about now?
Go more. We'll move over a little bit. But right there.
All right,
Yeah,
perfect.
perfect.
So the rice is cooked. That was pretty fast, right? And what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna see if I can bring it over here a little closer without making this thing go too crazy. Okay, so we're gonna make the cod. And while we're making the cod, we're going to make the sauce on the other side. See how we doing with time? Okay, perfect. All right. So this is about, see, I measure with my eyes. And the way that I write recipes, I will pour what I need to pour. Like I will measure what I think I want to put, and then I'll do the measurement later. But I would say this is about 1 tablespoon. And don't be shy with the olive oil when it comes to cod. It will disappear. So I have this in high heat, and then I'm gonna, so I have it in high heat, and then I'm gonna lower it when I flip it, okay? So you wanna make sure it's hot. The way that I measure is hot. When I start seeing a little bit of smoke come out of the pot, that's when I know it's getting hot. All right, here we go. So I start with this side first, okay? And then I flip it to the other side. And the reason for that, so that it doesn't break as much. So you wanna have the top side first. While that cooks, I'm gonna flip it just here just really quickly. I got some butter. And this is about 3 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to put it in to start making my sauce. Start melting it. Okay. Back here to the top. Can you guys still see well?
Yes, everything's good.
Okay, perfect. So you have to be very careful when you flip it. Okay, you want to hold it this way. And you always make sure that it doesn't break apart. Now bring the heat to medium. Because again, cod cooks really, really, really fast.
How do you know when it's cooked? Does it like turn white? Like does
It
it
will
get
turn
like, more
white.
different?
Yeah,
Okay.
it will turn white. You're going to begin to see right here on the side when it begins to turn white. Okay.
Mhm.
And you can also, because it is cod, we're not looking to fry it. It's not going to fry like any other fish. You can also cover it so it cooks a little faster.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So our butter is melting. And we're going to add the lemon juice. And the capers. This is about a tablespoon of capers. And our cod is almost there. Okay. Usually what I do, you can also do it this way. The thing about cod, you don't want to put too much movement on there because if you do, it will break. It will turn into mush, okay?
How does it look now?
Can you see? It's almost there.
Turn over the camera just a little bit.
Let's see, hold on. Oh, I didn't see it was there. Okay. Can you see it?
Perfect.
Perfect. I'm gonna bring it up just a little bit. You see how the sides are?
Yeah, I see it's white. And it's like puffing up.
Yeah. So it's a quick fish. That's what makes cod is one of the quickest fish to cook. Okay. But you don't want to move it around too much because if you do, it will break. And you cover it again, and you just kind of move it like that. Okay. So our lemon butter sauce is ready. All you do is just really heat it up. Okay. I'm gonna do a taste. Can you guys see?
Yeah, I
Can
can
you guys see? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I do a taste test to see a couple of things, right? To see if it has enough butter. Because sometimes when you put lemon, it can get really lemony. So I want to add a little bit more butter to it.
I'm happy. I just found a bottle of capers.
Oh, yay.
So I can do it tonight.
That is so cool. And again, the paprika, okay, now the fish is ready. I'm gonna turn it off. The paprika is just for color, okay? You don't have to put paprika. You can make it without the paprika. You can just make it with the lemon and the butter and the capers, okay? This is just so we can add some color to the fish.
Does it thicken up? Like, you know how some people put flour to make their gravy like thick?
Yeah.
Does that get thick like that, or it's just the butter?
It's just the butter. It's just a sauce just to give it some color and give it some flavor to the fish as well.
Okay.
And that was perfect. Okay. So it's not really a gravy, it's just a sauce to go with your rice and also with the okra. Okay, so the cod is ready. If I can bring it up here so you guys can see. Can you see?
Yes, it looks nice.
Yeah.
It has a little
so-
color to it.
yeah, it's a little bit of color because of the garlic that's on there. That's what you see mostly.
Uh-huh.
But it's one of those fishes that if a person's trying to give it like a tan color like all the others, you not only will you overcook the fish, and one of the things about cod, you can't, if you overcook it, it turns into mush.
I know in my family, if something looks too white, it's not cooked. They're not gonna eat
It's
it.
not cooked, right? So we're
They're
gonna,
like, where? They're like, dale color, and I'm like, but it's cooked.
it's cooked, right? And some people might not know that about cod, so that is probably why, they're like,
Mhm.
something went wrong. All right, so we're gonna quickly cook the okra, and then we're gonna set up the plate. Any other questions?
No, not now.
No question. Okay, cool. All right, so let me clear my space. So I'm going to use ghee butter to make the okra because we're not going to add any salt or pepper to the okra. Again, the reason for that is because there is lemon in the cod. There's some salt in there, capers. And if you add that to everything else, you're just going to have a salty dish. And we don't want a salty dish, do we?
Is the ghee like a oil substitute?
Is it a what kind of substitute?
Like a substitute for like frying oil? Substitute like for grapeseed oil?
No, it's just because it has an amazing flavor, and it will just enhance the flavor of the okra. You can use olive oil if you don't like ghee butter. Because we're not adding any sort of seasoning to the okra, I like to use ghee butter because it just gives this really nice, rich flavor to the okra, as if it has some sort of seasoning, but it doesn't. And that is why I use it. But you can
Okay.
use any oil that you want. So I would say about 1 tablespoon of that. Let that heat up. And it melts really fast. And I'm gonna throw the okra in there. And stir it around. And I'm doing this in high heat first, and I'm gonna lower it to medium high. Okay. All right. Any questions so far?
Nope.
Y'all are so quiet. And the funny thing about cod is, Brazilians eat a lot of cod. The cod was brought by the Portuguese. So Europeans eat a lot of salted fish, like a lot of salted fish that sometimes we find. So Brazil, it was eaten a lot from the Portuguese people. So Brazil, we don't really make fresh cod. Most of the cod that we use in Brazil is salted, so we buy it salted, and then we take the salt out. Of course, many years ago, salt was used to preserve, the fish. So a lot of the Portuguese people are the ones that ate. Like when you go to Brazil, you see a lot of the dishes. Like a lot of the Portuguese restaurant has a lot of cod in there on their menu. Okay. The okra doesn't take that long. Like I usually let it sit there until it becomes a little bit dark. You gotta make sure you watch it so it doesn't burn it. I burned it a few times. Okay. While that is happening, I'm gonna bring it back over here. Can you guys still see?
You can see the plate.
All right, cool. Tighten this up so nothing falls. How about now? Good? Okay, perfect. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my right. I'm gonna put it inside the cup. And I'm gonna, so if you have, it could be glass, if you have a small little container like this at home. Okay, you just press it down. I'm gonna mix my okra really quick because it's almost there. All right, I'm gonna press it down, and we're gonna do, I'm gonna flip it. Okay. And many years ago, I learned something called mindful eating. And basically what mindful eating is, you know, a lot of the time, you know, most of us when we're eating dinner or lunch, we don't really think about, like, we're not connected to our food. You know, we're either watching something while we're eating, or we're having, like nowadays, we're on our phones when we're eating, or some people are having conversation. And it is said that when we are not connected to our food, sometimes we have issues with indigestion. Not sure how true that is, but I thought it was quite interesting. But it was cool because, you know, when I thought about, like, wow, that's interesting, because during slavery time, you know, slaves were given scraps to eat, right? Just any kind of, here's what's left over of anything to eat. So when I think about food and when we are eating, and, you know, how we present our food, even if we're at home, you know, like, make our plates look really nice. You know, when we sit down to eat, it's like, wow, you know, my plate looks nice. You enjoy the food a little more, and you begin to connect to the food, right? Okay, perfect. So now, let me show you, our okra is done. Okay. All right, good. So we're gonna plate it, and we're gonna take a picture of it. Any questions? No questions?
No, no questions.
All right, cool. So we're gonna take the cod, and you wanna make sure, can you guys see my hand?
Yes.
Okay, so you wanna make sure you hold it this way so it doesn't fall apart. And you take a spatula, okay? And you just place it right here very carefully. All right. I'm gonna grab a spoon, and I'm gonna add the sauce to the top. All right, so we're gonna start bringing some capers first. Make sure the capers are there. All right, and if you want to be extra creative, so I'm gonna take the more capers and just pour it right here. And then you want to get creative with it. You also want to put it around. A little bit more.
The color's
sauce.
pretty.
Right. And that's the fun thing about cooking. When you think about when you're cooking things, you know, start thinking about colors. What will make my plate look pretty? Think about what plate you're going to use, you know, what contrast. Since I was making this red sauce, since I'm going to use the white plate, if I'm making things that are like, has lots of colors in it, like red, or, you know, I usually use a black plate. So it pops the color more. Okay. Now we're going to add our okra. Any questions so far? All right. So then what you want to do now that you got your plate ready, you want to take a cloth and you put your finger around it like this, and you just clean it up. Now, doesn't that make you want to eat?
I want to try that lemon sauce.
Oh, it's really good. I'm gonna add a little bit more. All right, so I'm gonna turn off this camera. I'm bringing you guys to the other side so I can show you how to make this picture perfect, okay? All right. All right, can you guys hear and see me?
Yes.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yes, we
perfect.
can.
All right, so I'm gonna bring this down. Can you guys see it?
Looks nice.
All right, so now, and for those of you who are probably bloggers, you know, food bloggers, and want to know, okay, how do we take pictures, great pictures of, I'm gonna use my coffee maker here as thing. So usually you can take a piece of cardboard. I have a cutting board, and you can put some aluminum foil in order to bounce some light into your plate, okay? I'm gonna show you 3 angles on how to take pictures. And you also want to place your plate where there is light. The thing about photography, it has to do, everything photography is light, period. That is the key to photography, where the light is coming from. So I'm a natural light photographer. So for me, of course, natural light is, you know, where it's at. So I have it by the window on the sink. So the light is coming from this way and it's hitting the plate. I want to make sure there's some light coming this way as well. So that's why you can use aluminum foil, or you can use a white board to bounce some light into your plate. Of course, most people don't have whiteboards. They have, of course, aluminum foil, and that works just as well, okay? So let me grab my phone. And if you have an iPhone, there's a feature on the iPhone called Portrait, okay? Let's see, can you guys see my phone?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So 3 angles we're gonna do. We're gonna do a close-up angle to the fish. I don't know if you guys can see it. We're gonna do the famous from above scene, okay? And then we're gonna do an angle against the light. Hold on a second. So we're gonna do 1. We're gonna do 2 from up top and 2 from up close, okay? And I'll post those pictures, all right? So all it is no trick to it. It's just lighting, okay? You wanna make sure the light is hitting the subject. So the light right now is hitting the capers and the fish, and the light that is coming from the window is bouncing on the aluminum foil and is giving me some light, on this angle. What it's doing is removing the shadow from the fish, okay? All right, so I'm gonna show you guys 1. And I'm gonna do the regular photo, and I'm gonna do it if you have an iPhone, okay? If you wanna play around with the regular photo and then do a portrait, the thing about portrait, you gotta move back. So you guys are not able to see what I'm doing right now, but it's the same angle, but you just gotta move a little further away. And what the portrait feature does, it gives you what's called depth of field, which means the background will be all blurry. Okay. And then we're gonna do the up top. And the way that I do the up top, I get on the balls of my feet. If you're shorter than 5'5", get a little tiny stool. All right. So here we go. And take a feel so you can later choose which one is best, you know? And a cool thing about, I don't know if you guys can still see my hand. So the cool thing, I'm gonna show you guys something. So on your screen, pretend there's a tic-tac-toe, like do a tic-tac-toe, okay? And what you wanna do is frame the main subject within the square, the middle square of the tic-tac-toe. And you wanna make sure you leave no spaces around. So you wanna get as close as possible to the plate so that it can give you that. So think about tic-tac-toe, make sure everything is within the tic-tac-toe frame. Okay, and the fish or the, is in the middle. Okay, let's see if you guys can see. Can you guys see?
Yes, it looks good.
Okay. So
Looks like
that's
a magazine.
Huh?
Looks like a magazine picture.
Right? And look, I just did it, and I didn't even do it with my regular camera, my professional camera. I did it with my phone, which because photography is not about, of course, if you want to go into photography, you want to get an amazing camera, but the idea is to learn lighting, because photography is all about lighting. Okay, and if you want to play around, turn the fish other way, whatever angle you find, I want to take a shot in another angle, another way you can do it, because we don't have a lot of, I was going to build it up, but I was like, no, but since we're doing okra, I don't think building up will be a good idea. And you can play around with any angles that you see until you find the one that you really like. And here's another angle. I don't know if you guys can see it. And I'll post these later, right? So like you're looking at a magazine photo. And then not to mention, this is the food that you're about to consume in your stomach that you made. And I believe that when you cook, all your food, no matter what it is, can be as simple as pancakes. I believe presentation is a big thing for something that we're putting into our stomach. So any questions for me?
I have a question. Do you usually make the meals below half hour, minus the photo taking part? Do you usually make quick and easy meals that are nutritious like that?
I do. I don't spend a lot of time in the kitchen unless I'm cooking something that's like crazy elaborate. Like, I don't know, I used to cook pot roast and things like that. Of course, that takes, a little more time. But if I'm on a day-to-day basis, if I'm making food, I don't want to spend no more than 35 minutes in the kitchen.
That's good. Good discipline.
Mm-hmm. And the key to that is, just like I showed, is doing everything at the same time. And a lot of people, when they cook, because a lot of people are not cooks, they just cook. And so when they're making more than one thing, what I notice is that they make one thing and then they go into the second thing. They're not making them interchangeably, because some people get a little flustered of having to make, wait, I'm making the rice, I need to cook the rice first, I'm gonna cook this. So that's why it takes them a lot of time in the kitchen. And most people's like, I don't feel like cooking, because they think it's gonna take a lot of time. But any meals, like I said, if you know how to cook things at the same time and make sure you're watching it, you can have a really great meal with under 30 minutes or so.
One of the things about eating healthy, not knowing the recipes that are really nutritious as well as fast. So how do you have a lot of recipes? Do you have over 30 recipes that you make that are quick and easy?
I do.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I had to be creative, because many years ago I was a straight vegan. Like, I just didn't eat anything, that was animal. And I did it because my doctor had asked me to do it. And I'm like, what do I do? And so I began to get creative. And the way that I got creative was, what is it that I liked, out here in the world when I was eating, and transformed it into a vegan dish. So I began to create certain things. I began to try and error. And as I was doing it, I literally had, what do you call those things? 3x5 cards in the kitchen. Because every time I created something, I wrote it down. So I'm going to write this down because I'm going to make this again. So I began to create my own my own recipes. So a lot of the recipe that I have, like this, for example, with the paprika, that's my own recipe.
Yeah, I think there's some room for that, quick, easy and healthy. And of course you can take your own pictures. So
Yeah.
awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Did anyone else have any questions for Rafaela? Rafaela, great presentation, quick and easy. I'm looking forward to seeing the actual pictures on our fan page. So I don't know if you can load that up. But anyone have any questions for Rafaela? Yane says looks delicious. So you got your compliments. Looks good here as well. I guess you can report back how it tastes.
Yes.
Unbiasedly.
I know, right? Well, let me just say this. Anything that you add butter to can't go wrong.
I heard that statement before. They said butter makes it better.
Makes it all better. It can't go wrong with butter. Put butter, anything, it's delicious.
Awesome. So yeah, once again, if anyone has any questions for Rafaela, if not, I'm going to go ahead and fire up the screen because Rafaela is going to do, let me get it fired up here before I say it, a food photography workshop. Now, Rafael, while I have you, the question is, I know you do food photography, but can someone who is not doing food photography apply this to any other product? Or is it really geared around food photography? Like, can they come and learn some of this information as well for other products? Because I know there are people who have products out there. Do you think it's applicable, or should this just be for people who are interested in shooting their own or food for others?
No, it's applicable for product photography because, like I said, photography is lighting. So, and product photography is also detail. So the same technique applies.
Okay, excellent. So there will be a workshop July 5th. And if you're interested, you can get an email. And again, for any other workshop, just go ahead, look and keep an eye on your email. We'll also announce it on our fan page. And if any of those workshops are of interest to you, go ahead and sign up so that you can learn more of what is being offered through 30 Day Redemption. So Rafaela, excellent. Thank you for taking the time to put that together. We look forward to seeing the pictures as soon as possible.
Yes, I'm about to load them now.
And for everyone else, thank you for jumping on. Remember, share the 30 Day Redemption experience with others. Let them know about what we're doing. Tell people, even share some of the videos. And for anyone that is not taking the time out to comment on the fan page, please do so other people can know about the great experience that we're having here. So we will close out with that. Have a fantastic day. Eat healthy. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get some food. It may not be that elaborate, but it will be nutritious. So have a great day.
Thank you.
God bless.